Could a top 10 talent fall to the Broncos at number 64? And if he does, is it worth the risk? Hello, I'm Phil Milani alongside Aric DiLalla here in studio as we continue our draft preview. Aric, David Ojabo, that's the name I'm talking about here, an edge rusher out of Michigan. He was Mel Kiper's #1 outside linebacker. That's all before he got injured, tore his Achilles at his pro day. Aric, he would probably miss his entire rookie season. Do you think that he's worth the risk for the Broncos, who are in win-now mode?
Yeah, I mean, let's start by talking about that we're incredibly sorry for what's happened to David Ojabo. You feel terrible for the kid. Obviously, a potential top 10 pick. When the Broncos still had the 9th pick, he was mentioned as a guy that could have been there. I think you got to consider it, Phil. I mean, this is a kid who is really, really good. 11 sacks, first team All Big Ten, 12 tackles for loss, a school record, 5 forced fumbles last year. Now, it is worth considering kind of a one-year wonder. Last year was the first year that he had any sacks, had 11, kind of broke out there at Michigan. But
He's only played 20 college games total, so he's definitely a raw product. Born in Nigeria, moved to Scotland, and then played high school ball here before heading to Michigan. You think that maybe just a one-year wonder, you're a little bit nervous?
A little bit nervous, but he's got the physical tools that you want. He's shown the production there at Michigan last season. And I think you have to consider it, even though you mentioned, Phil, edge kind of a need, and the Broncos in win-now mode, you want someone who can come in and contribute right away if necessary. You wouldn't get that with Ojabo because, like you mentioned, may not play all season. But I just think the value of getting a potential top 10 pick at the end of the second round, it may be worth just saying, hey, we're going to bite the bullet on this one. We know he's not going to play this year. We'll either draft another edge later in the draft, or we'll sign somebody in free agency, or we'll ride with the guys we have behind Bradley Chubb and Randy Gregory and Malik Reed and Jonathan Cooper. I just think the way that George Paton thinks about this roster, and you heard Russell Wilson say it the other day, it's not just about this year. There's a plan for the future, and if you've got a chance to take a top 10 kid all the way at the end of the second, you've got to consider seriously that that's worth it.
And for the Broncos, after trading away their first-round pick, this would be a way to get an upper echelon type of talent all the way at 64. But Aric, it'll probably take a lot for him to be able to fall all the way to the Broncos.
Yeah, I don't expect that that's going to happen. You know, you've seen some situations in the past where someone, a few years ago, a torn ACL, you barely fall to the end of the first round. And so you look at a lot of these mocks, David Ojabo's still going kind of early second round, really as early as the end of the first round. And so it doesn't seem likely that he's going to fall to 64. But if he's there, you got to consider it. And the other thing to think about, Phil, is if he's there at 55 or something like that, do you consider trading up a little bit to get him? That's where it becomes trickier to me, because now you're giving up multiple picks for somebody who can't play this year.
Yeah, and I know that George Paton, he said multiple times when we were at the league meetings that they've got 9 picks right now. He ideally wants 10. So instead of moving up, maybe moving back and acquiring another pick. But this Ojabo kid, 6'4", 250 pounds, ran a 4.55 40. He is a guy who would be a major player, not this year, but down the road. And if you're thinking about long term, maybe he would be a good option. Have been hearing maybe end of the first round, just because you would have that 5th-year option, Aric, and that's something to consider. But I guess let's answer our initial question. If he was there at 64, worth the risk to you?
Yeah, 100%. I'd do it. I'd take him with as many questions as there are about your edge rushers. Last year, Bradley Chubb's going to be under contract. Randy Gregory's best year came last year when he played just 10 games. You've got to find a consistent edge rusher. If he's there, I'm running that card up.
Okay, all right. Might be a little bit of a tough sell just because you're trying to win a Super Bowl. We hear the guys talking, heard Pat Surtain say, hey, Super Bowl is on our minds now. To pick a guy with their first pick here at number 64 that won't be able to play might be a tough sell, but long run, you'd be getting one heck of a player in David Ojabo. Okay, that's going to do it for us. For Aric DiLalla, I'm Phil Milani.